let's start off the interview with, like I said, first off, congrats.
Thank
It's
you.
got,
I
it's
appreciate
got to
it.
feel pretty awesome. Take me through the week going into that tournament. Athletics is a lot about setting goals,
Yeah.
accomplishing goals. What were your goals? I guess even before that week, what was your goals coming into this season?
My goals for the season was to finally get my national title. I felt like I was capable within my full 4 years here, and I finally wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it every year. But I think the goal was to win the national title, but it was also the focus was to focus on having fun and to make memories with my teammates and really just be present with every moment and not think too far ahead of I got to win a national title. I got to win a national title. I'm going to be right here in this practice. I'm going to work on exactly what I need to work on. Or if we're on the bus and we're in the bus as a team, I'm going to focus on hanging out with my teammates or doing what I need to feel good. Yeah.
Can you give me some specific examples of when you were hanging out on the team, kind of keeping it loose?
Yeah, so for example, when we first got there to the hotel, we were just excited that we were in Iowa and we were excited for it. We had our practice in about an hour after we arrived, and we were just messing around in one of the hotel rooms doing just dance
Okay.
dances. Even though we didn't have our Wii with us, we just looked them up on YouTube and just messed around, did them, and we're recording ourselves and just kind of getting a warm up before we started wrestling in a hotel room.
I got one of the things I find interesting about wrestling is it's not unlike track and swimming in a lot of ways where you got to kind of ramp up. Can you talk about the weeks leading in? What was the ramp up like for you? You can come on in. It's okay. Yeah. Sorry.
You're good.
Can you talk about what the weeks kind of leading into the tournament was like? What was ramp up like for you personally? I guess is.
I guess we had ramp up periods, but I think going into the tournament it was more taper.
Mm.
It was taper, keep us safe. Um, Instead of going full on live wrestling, it was more of a let's spar some situations. Let's drill, but like we're also gonna spar situations, so you're gonna put yourself in an uncomfortable position and find a way to score without 100% resistance, but more like 75-80% resistance. So it's still gonna be hard, but it's gonna be you're still protecting your body and your partner's body. So, and then also we focus on our mental aspects of that as well. Just knowing that it's important to have fun. It's important to be loose and calm. It's not necessarily the more serious wrestler is going to win. It's more of who loves what they do and who's not going to break under pressure.
Can I ask about that? It is such a huge part of wrestling, right? But the mental game, a lot of teams they kind of take on the personality of their coach. How has coach kind of dictated keeping you guys loose?
I think he's done a good job of keeping practices loose and giving us a lot of time in the beginning to flow and practice what we want to practice. And most of us know what we need to work on, so we're going to work on that in that time. And I think just that alone gives us time to be our own style of wrestling and work on things we want to work on. It could be anything, really. And I think in terms of the mental aspect, just him telling us that it's not about winning and losing, it's about performing at your best, and that looks different for everybody. And also just to have fun. Him telling me to have fun and go do what I do, like, for me, it's as simple as that. It's have fun, try your best.
Sure. That's crazy to think because, I guess for me personally, right, when I think of like uber competitive people that are performing at the top of their game, I think, man, they're so serious. They're like, so laser focused. It doesn't sound like that's hard for you to juggle that kind of fine line.
It used to be, and I feel like this year is me figuring that out. I think last year I was a little too serious and too much chasing perfection rather than going out there and having fun and just loving the sport for what it was. It was me chasing perfection and really focusing on outcome rather than loving what I do day in, day out. And this year it was kind of like, I'm just going to make the most of this last year here wrestling for CMU and make memories and focus on having fun with my teammates, having fun within the sport, having fun in positions in practice that are uncomfortable. And I think I'm still a dead serious person, and don't get me wrong, 2 minutes before the match I'm dead serious, but as soon as that whistle blows, it's just go time for me, and I'm serious in those moments. But leading up to it, I think I really have to be relaxed and loose and just realize that wrestling doesn't define me. And with that, just have fun.
It's a beautiful thing. You took us into the hotel room. You took us into the YouTube videos, dancing around. What was it like walking into that arena, knowing that you're here to battle?
You know, when we had our first practice, when we got there, we practiced in the arena, and you know, I was just reflecting and realizing how far women's wrestling has come. This is the first time they held our national tournament in an actual arena, and I was just like, this is real. It feels real, and this is exciting. I get to go out here and compete in an arena where it matters. I mean, it always matters. It's a national championship, but the years previous, it wasn't in a nice arena. It kind of just felt like a normal college tournament in someone's gym, and that's what it felt like. But this time it was in an actual arena, a neutral location, people in the stands, high-rise stage for the finals, and for me that's what it should be about. And it should be fun.
I kind of want to talk more about the match, but while we're on this point, right, we're talking about girls high school wrestling, you know, and then the credit that it gets now, you know, with it being such a featured item at the Ball Arena here in Colorado. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, you've kind of been there to see it. I don't want to say at the beginning of the stage because that's disrespectful, but you've seen how much this sport has grown within just past 4 years. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like for somebody at the top of their game to kind of see how this sport has grown?
You know, it's grown so much. When I was wrestling, there was probably like 2 other girls that I knew wrestling, and we were wrestling against all boys. And then high school, it started to expand a little bit, and we had my junior and senior year, we had our own state tournament, but it was again in a high school gym. It wasn't in an arena, you know. And a couple years ago, I think this year and last year, they put Girls Colorado's high school state tournament in the actual arena with the boys, and I think that's amazing that it's grown to be that, and they deserve the same opportunity as the guys do, and that's exciting. And then also, I just realized that our numbers have over doubled in terms of the amount of colleges for our NCAA tournament, and that blew me away once I realized that. I was like, I had no idea, but that's because I'm focused on just wrestling sometimes. But realizing that, I was just like, wow, it's gonna keep growing, and we're now at numbers to be officially sanctioned, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. So I'm sorry to kind of pull you in different directions, but let's get back into the arena, right? You're going up for your national championship match. Was this an opponent that you've wrestled with? I assume because you wrestle at such a high level, you've probably seen her before?
Yeah, I wrestled her last year, yeah. Okay. And I knew her type of style, and her style, she's a lot longer than me, a very tall girl, maybe a whole foot or more taller than me. Sure. I knew she's quick with her low single shots, and for me, I've wrestled people with low single shots before, and I know how to wrestle against that. And I think going into that match, I didn't want to game plan too much. I knew not much is going to change. I knew from their perspective, like her coaches and their perspective to wrestle me at their best would be to run away from me. Don't let me like close the gap distance wise, because she likes distance to shoot from far away. And I knew that, and you know, at the beginning of the season, I knew that's who I'd have in the finals, and I asked several of my teammates to just run from me, and I got to find a way to score. And so going into that match, it was just a game of patience and being calm and not really freaking out if I get taken down. And I did get taken down in the first minute or so, and it's fine. You reset and you figure out how you're going to get the next one without stressing about it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I don't know if you are one of those people that just kind of let it flow, or are you kind of like memorizing everything that's happening to you as you're going through a match? Or you
I'm in complete flow state. I usually don't know what actually happened in a match until I go back and watch it when I'm wrestling at my best. I think there are times where, it happens sometimes, but it happened a lot less this year than it has previous years. But there are times where when you don't let your body take over and you're just thinking too much and you don't perform quite how you wanted to, and right then and there, like, I know what happened in the match. But for the most part, almost every single match that I wrestled at nationals, I was in my body and in that flow state.
That's crazy. Were you that way in this? I mean, on wrestling's biggest stage, were you that way? I mean, are you overanalyzing? Or?
So in the finals, like that was the most relaxed I had felt the whole tournament. Mainly like I did it. I just have to do it one more time,
Yeah.
and there's no like, like I wasn't even thinking about if I lose, but if you lose in a semis, you have to put it together and come back and battle on the backside. Like I did that last year. I lost in the quarters and had to come back, and that's probably one of the hardest things to do when you're heartbroken and
Oh yeah.
you wanted first and you have to come back and take third. And I think going into this finals, I was like super excited, ready to give it my all, and that's that, and just be content with just giving my best effort.
You mentioned earlier, and pardon my ignorance, you mentioned that this is going to be your last year. Did you know that going into that match? Or you knew this is the one? Or is this a decision you made afterwards? Or
I knew that this season. I knew this season
Okay.
was going to be my last,
Okay.
and part of that, like I have more eligibility, but I'm basically done with my degree, and I do eventually want to go to PT school here, but I don't want to go into PT school right after I graduate. I want to take some time just to train for some of the USA Wrestling events.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We kind of saw you here this time last year when you were getting ready to go out. And so you do want to kind of keep focusing on wrestling. That's interesting to hear.
Yeah.
What kind of led you to that decision?
Well, I was finishing my degree really fast, and I knew like I wanted to pursue wrestling further. Like it doesn't just stop at the college season for me. I want to take it as far as I can and represent United States just for wrestling and enjoy every single moment of that. And I really think I'm right there already. And yeah.
Do you enjoy it? Like, this is a tough sport. Practices are so hard. The workouts, the dedication that it takes to be in a position where you're at, and you can kind of, I guess you're not looking back, but if you do look back and get to hold that medal, how worth it was it for you?
All the hard practices, all of that. I love this sport, and hard practice, even when they suck, I love coming to practice. I love the idea of chasing something and really putting in work. That makes me happy every single day. Like, I could be having the worst day ever and going to practice like, oh man, I have to practice. But every single time, midway through the practice or at the end, I'm like, I'm so glad I practiced today. I feel so much better. Like, I'm addicted to wrestling. I love it, and sometimes I really just need to learn to rest more, but I love it, and I'm already ready to chase the next thing.
I always feel silly asking this question because it's always, there's no real words to describe it, but that feeling when you get your hand raised, take me onto the mat, take me inside your head, maybe inside your heart. What are you feeling when you get that hand raised?
Well, the hand raise in that match meant a lot more than a lot of matches I've wrestled. That one, I had been trying for this for, I guess, 4 years, and freshman year I took third. Sophomore year I took second with a broken hand, and then this past year I had just a setback and lost early on and took third. And I wanted to win. Ideally, I want to win it all 4 years. But when I got my hand raised in that moment, I just realized, like, for me personally, it wasn't about my timing and my plan. It was more about God's plan. And He wanted me to win when it really mattered. It always matters, but He wanted me to win on the big arena, the big stage, and to really absorb every bit of that moment I could, and I just was so grateful that it worked out the way it did in my last year of wrestling for CMU Women's Wrestling. And, yeah, it meant a lot. I was super happy, and for me, I had to give all the glory to God, and now it's just about enjoying the moment and then figuring out what's next.
Can I ask about enjoying the moment? What are the celebrations about? Like, hey, parties? What are you doing? Are you wearing the medal around, going to sleep with it? What's going on there? How do you celebrate a national championship?
I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think for me, it's just I haven't quite fully celebrated yet. I think it's still processing, and it feels nice to be told congrats by family, friends, things like that. But so far I've gone out to eat and, ate some tacos, had a drink, and that was good.
Right on.
Yeah.
if this interview's going too long, you can stop me. But what does it mean to be the first, right? The first first national champion for wrestling here at CMU. What does that mean to you?
To me, it just means, again, it means a lot. But I know that one of my other teammates could have done it this year too, and I wanted to share that moment with her. But I know that I'm not the last either. I know there's going to be girls next year that can win it and will win it. And I think the next year after that, I think I just started basically like the butterfly effect. I do it, now everyone else knows that that's within reach and they're going to do it. They got to see it come to life.
Does that? I guess that kind of is the next natural question, is talking about legacy and kind of what you leave behind here. You're already talking about teammates getting to see that, be there for that, be in the be on that level, right? One match away or whatever. But what does it mean to you to think back on what your legacy is going to be here as a wrestling national champion?
You know, I think I have to reflect a little bit more, and I feel like it'll hit me before a big. So I reflect the most before a big wrestling match to just recognize how grateful I am, and it's not about winning or losing for this match. It's about kind of the journey, and you know that's something I'll probably bring into another wrestling match. Of, dang, look how far I've come. Look how much I've already done already. This match isn't gonna define me, regardless. I still left it all out there, and I still have great things that I've done. And it's going to be something I reflect later down the road. Right now, I'm still processing and just grateful, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look back to your freshman year, gosh, you'd say, yeah, you've been on the stage. You know what it's all about. You've known it for a while. But how would you say you've grown in your time here at CMU?
You know, I think I've grown to be a better person. I've grown as a wrestler also, but I think the biggest thing is, yes, I can be so serious, and I am a loving person and stuff like that, but when I learned to have fun, I realized it's not just about me. It's about my teammates doing well too, and us building a bond together that's not, like, breakable, and it's about us inspiring each and every single one of each other, and it's not just about me getting the results that I want or not. I think my freshman year I was just so dead-centered, focused on I can win this, and you know, I forgot to have fun with my teammates. I forgot to you know, just really check up on them. And I think over time I've realized how important it is to make these memories, make friends that are going to be your friends down the road, even when you guys have families later down the road. You're going to be like, yeah, we wrestled together, it was amazing. Remember that time we danced in the hotel room? Like, that's what it became to me, you know. And as a wrestler, I've grown in so many different ways. My freshman year, I didn't really like shooting and attacking legs at all. I'm a big thrower. And now I'm not thinking about throwing someone the first move that I do. I'm thinking about attacking the legs, and my body knows if it throws there. But right now I'm thinking, what leg attack is there?
Yeah. I just finished reading. The crotch throw is what got you on the board first, or not first, but that was your first score. Anyway, it's interesting to hear. I assume I already know what you're going to say based on what we just talked about there, kind of about it being the journey, less about the finish line. But, you know, there is some, 7th or 8th grade girl watching this interview, like, what do you tell them if they say, yeah, that's something that I aspire to be, somebody that, has goals of being on the national team. I aspire to be. What would your advice be? What would you say to them?
I would say just love what you do, have fun with what you're doing, don't cut a lot of weight, and then also just focus on learning, not winning and losing, learning, writing things down, and learning how to be your own coach as well too. You do need coaching, don't get me wrong, but you can be your own coach and hold yourself accountable. If you know your position's bad, fix it the next rep. Don't obsess over it, but practice it right, And also consistency, just show up every day, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, even when, you just had a long day, show up. If you have 60% of you showing up to practice, then give 60%. That's still 100%. And just show up and come with the attitude to want to learn and want to be there and want to absorb what you're learning. and really just keep going.
Awesome stuff. It's kind of where I guess one last question for you. How do you do it? You know, I'm looking at you. I imagine your major I don't know where you're at in school, but your major doesn't sound like an easy major.
No.
You mentioned that you wanted to get through school quickly. Obviously, you have.
Yeah.
How do you balance that schoolwork and as much athletics as you possibly could squeeze into the calendar? How do you do that?
You know, so I'm a biology major, so it's pretty tough. Lots of studying, lots of studying and memorizing, and math too. And I'm not great at math, so there's math in that too. And you got to study. I think the biggest thing is really just time management. You know, planning. I plan my day out the night before and realize what things I must get done. And you know, I wake up early and I get an early start on things. I plan for my prehab that I need to do before practice to make sure my joints are feeling good. Practice, and then after practice, I usually just like shower and take a nap, like 20-minute nap, not an hour, and then from there keep doing my homework. And really, I'm addicted to working and feeling little bits of a success at a time. And for school, that looks like, wow, I didn't think I would be able to memorize all that, and next thing you know, I'm getting an A on this test. And for me, that means a lot. And you know, I'm about to graduate this semester, hopefully with a 3.94 GPA, and you know, that means a lot too, because coming in to my true freshman year, you know, I failed all 4 first exams of my first exams, and the problem is I didn't know how to study. So it was one of my teachers that said, see me in my office on my paper test, and he was like, so what is it? Like, you really try in class, and how do you get this score? Yeah. And I'm like, I really thought I was studying. And, you know, he taught me some things to do to study better, and, you know, the next test I got an A. And then same with the other classes, I was able to figure it out. And once I saw what I was capable of, I never settled for anything less. And, you know, I always tried my best. I did get a couple B's, and, you know, I was trying for the A, but didn't happen. In physics too. Physics too, for example. But, you know, it's just, once you know what you're capable of, you should always try to be your best.
Yeah. Would you say it's competitive, or would you just say that's just you enjoy, like you say, you enjoy the rewards, the small rewards?
I enjoy the small rewards for myself, just knowing that I worked hard for something. I don't really compare my grades to anybody. It's more about just putting in work and making my life easier down the road too. Like, having a good GPA gets me into a physical therapy school just a little bit easier than if I were to have a lower GPA.
You mentioned you kind of are thinking about coming to CMU for that. Is that set in stone, or are you kind of keeping your options open? And
I mean, it's not set in stone yet, but I would prefer to stay in-state for a doctorate degree and not spend a lot of money. And I don't really love Denver. I think it's super busy, and this is the town I know, and this is the town I like, and I would love to be a part of CMU's Doctor of Physical Therapy program.
As we look towards the U.S. national team, are you working with Travis on that? Who are you working with? How does that even work? I am so ignorant. Like, who are you working out with? How does that work? Like,
I work with a little bit of everybody. Like, even our freshman girls here. Like, I can still find things that they're great at, and I'm gonna have them give me certain feels that they're great at, you know. And I work on things that I know I need to work on, and it doesn't necessarily matter who I'm working with, as long as they know the correct feel to give, you know. So I work with the girls on the college team, and on my team. I'm still in college. And then I work with Travis occasionally, and I work with Dawson sometimes too, our 125-pound boy. Yeah.
I loved covering him in high school. Anyway, I'm sorry.
He's great though. Dope. He's a great partner, and he's become a good friend of mine through the sport of wrestling.
Awesome. That's cool to hear. Right on. Well, I think I'll let you go. Like I say, congratulations on everything. I think we've hit a ton